We're back with another crazy Reddit confessions. This one is by Eastern Security 428. Am I the a hole for saying this to my boyfriend? Last night, my boyfriend and I were getting dinner ready and we're laughing and having a good time. He was getting our plates ready and asked me how big of a piece of scalloped potatoes, and I said, not too big, but not too small. And then I said, just like you, in a choking like tone. It wasn't meant in an insulting way at all, but my boyfriend's mood totally shifted. And as we sat down to eat, I asked him what was wrong, and he said that my comment was rude and he was pissed off about it. I apologized and told him I didn't mean it as an insult. If anything, I was trying to say that he's dressed right, but also said I could see how he may have taken it as an insult and that I really was sorry and it never was my intention to hurt his feelings. And then went to give him a hug and he pulled away from me. Mm. The rest of the night, he sat on the couch basically glaring at me and then went to bed without even saying goodnight. Sounds like he's got a little bit of an insecurity. I made him an I'm sorry card and put it out for him where he could see it. And then when he got up for work, I know he saw it because it was moved, but he won't even answer my text now this morning. Am I the a hole for thinking that it isn't even that bad of a comment? Edit. I thought I was saying he's the perfect size by saying this. I'm 30, he's 35. Oh, well, I think that's a bit of a insecurity and you struck a nerve. I don't think that that was an a-hole thing to say. I think that was kind of cheeky. And I think he's being kind of a baby, but let's read the first comment here. The fact that you're making an effort to fix it shows that you care. Relationships are about learning from moments like this, and it sounds like you're doing just that. Right. I feel like you're doing everything you can to try to make this right, so not the a hole. Moving on. So, the next story that we have for your consideration is by Violet2477. Am I the a hole for ruining my boyfriend's family dinner by bringing my own food? Well, let's find out. I'm 28 years old and I have been with my boyfriend for about a year. I have several food allergies: gluten, dairy, and shellfish. My boyfriend's family invited me over for a big homemade dinner. I told his mom ahead of time that I have allergies. They already know this, but I reminded them because I've had a couple of incidents with them because of this. And she said, don't worry, we'll have something for you. When I got there, everything had at least one ingredient that I couldn't eat. I didn't want to make a fuss or go hungry, so I discreetly pulled out a Tupperware meal I made at home and started eating it. My boyfriend's mom looked offended and said I was being disrespectful and that I didn't trust her cooking. Later, my boyfriend told me I embarrassed him and should have just eaten around the allergens to keep the peace. Whoa, okay. I don't think that you are the a hole at all. I think that allergies are serious, and if you already warned them and they did not make anything that was safe for you to eat, and you knew that they weren't going to do that, that's why you brought a Tupperware, and you've had issues with them before about it, obviously you were right. You pulled out the Tupperware and you started eating it exactly as you should have. That's crazy. Yeah, you're not the a-hole for that. There's no reason why your boyfriend shouldn't have stuck up for you and should have explained to his mom, you know, that you weren't trying to be rude. You were just, scared for your life. So, that's kind of crazy. Um The first comment says, easy, not the a hole. They're offended that you're not giving yourself allergic reactions. Your boyfriend is a massive one for suggesting you physically suffer just for his family's approval. Exactly. That's what I meant. Like, no, you're not the a hole. Moving on, moving on. Okay, so this one looks interesting. This is by Wonderful Draft 8401. Am I the a hole for refusing to give my little brother my car after I turned 18? I just turned 18 and my parents have been pushing me to give my old car to my 16-year-old brother as a gift. The thing is, I worked part-time jobs for 2 years to help pay for that car. It wasn't fully a gift from them. Now that I'm 18, I want to keep it while I save for something better. My parents say I'm being selfish and that he needs it more now, since I'm an adult and should start figuring things out myself. I feel like they're trying to guilt trip me into giving up something I worked hard for. Am I the a hole for saying no? Absolutely not. That's insane. If you're using the car, which it sounds like you are, and this was your car, it's still your car. They can't just take it or tell you that you need to give it away. You sound really responsible for keeping it until you can afford something better, and they have no right to ask you to give it up. No, absolutely not the a hole. Um, Somebody said, I wouldn't even do that. That 10% was a gift from their parents. Uh, they're just trying to take it back now. Yeah, that's crazy. And I also want to add to that. It kind of sounds like they're trying to get a free car to give to the 16-year-old brother because maybe they don't have the money to spend on another car and they're hoping for the gift. Yeah, you're not the a-hole. Let's see. We'll do this one here. So, this one is by Substantial Loss 241. Am I the a hole for threatening to break up with my boyfriend for saying the N word? Ooh, spicy. My boyfriend, male 32, said the N word casually in conversation to me the other day. We are both white. It was so awkward and uncomfortable, I just didn't say anything. I brought it up later that night and said he could not say that. And he said yes, he can because he has freedom of speech and he wasn't saying it to a black person. Anything I would try to say, he just wouldn't agree. I said if I ever hear him say it again, I would not be in a relationship with him. For context, we are both pretty moderate physically. However, I lean more left. Oh, sorry. For context, that makes a lot more sense. We are pretty moderate politically. However, I lean more left and he leans more right. Ooh. I don't think that leaning right has anything to do with this. I probably lean a little bit more right now, and I would not say this. Not to anyone, and not just because I'm white. I think that it's probably not a good thing for even black people to say at this point. It's kind of uncomfortable. And I don't think that um, being right leaning has anything to do with that. Um, I do think that's disrespectful. And I think that if you have a problem with it and you ask him not to say it, um, if he can't respect your wishes and it's like a definite like embarrassing deal breaker for you, I would say that you're probably within your rights to break up with him over this alone, just because if he says these kind of things in crowds of people, they're going to judge you for it too because you're his girlfriend. So I would say that uh, you're not the a hole, and I think that that is perfectly justifiable. So somebody in the comments said that the only thing I would say is that trying to defend it would be the nail in the coffin for me. For anyone who is interested, there is a woman who Tufts from Tufts University who runs a corporate DEI training that has absolutely been incredible. She created a version of Monopoly with characters of different races, and what does this have to do with it? Let's go to another one. Um, there's a lot of white men that will play moderate, but they really aren't. They surprise you with the racism after they think that you won't leave them. The fact that he doubled down is enough to already end it. All you have done is shown that it's not a deal breaker. I've been there. I stayed too long with a racist piece of poopy because I thought I had to. Sunken cost fallacy. I was young and dumb. The thing is, you basically told him that as long as he doesn't do or say his racism around you, you'll stay with him. Yeah, that's another good point. Um, Even if he doesn't do it in front of you, he may still do it around groups of people behind your back. And if you're with somebody that you know has different values and beliefs in you, they could be embarrassing you behind your back and making you look bad. Um, yeah, this is kind of tough. I would say, um, yeah, you should probably just leave. He has already shown you who he is, and I guarantee that he's far more right wing than he's letting on. And that's where I have a problem with this. Um, just because he says this kind of thing does not mean he's right wing. Um, I would say most right wing people wouldn't speak like this. Um, you know, right wing is a policy choice. You know, um, it's like an ideology, I suppose. Um, and ideologies can kind of sway over time. Um, but that doesn't make you racist automatically. So you're not gonna definitely say something like this, no matter which side you lean toward. I definitely wouldn't. So yeah, not the a hole for leaving, but not cool to associate that with right wing. That's not not true. So let's see. This sounds interesting. The day I found out my dog had a secret life. This is from Fortnite Fishy Man. So, about 2 years ago, I adopted this golden retriever named Milo. Sweetest dog ever. Loved everyone. Typical golden energy. Tail wagging so hard that it could knock over a lamp. We live in a quiet neighborhood where a lot of people leave their gates open, and Milo has always been good about staying close to home. I trusted him enough to let him hang out in my front yard sometimes while I worked inside with the window open. One afternoon, I realized it had been a little too quiet for a while. I went outside to call him, and he wasn't there. Full panic mode activated. I grabbed his leash and started running up and down the street yelling his name like a crazy person. About 3 houses down, I saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. Milo was sitting on someone else's porch. Not just sitting, he was lounging like he owned the place. Head up, tongue out, happy as he could be, and next to him, an older woman in a rocking chair feeding him pieces of chicken from a plate. I was like, Milo? The woman looked up and smiled and said, "Oh, you must be Miles' other family." What? Other family? Turns out, for months, Milo had been slipping away whenever I wasn't looking and visiting this woman, Mrs. Patterson. She lived alone, her kids were grown, and apparently Milo just decided to adopt her. He'd show up every couple of days, sit politely on her porch, and she'd reward him with chicken scraps and the occasional bacon strip. We both laughed about it, and I apologized like 1,000 times for him intruding, but she waved it off and said that he was good company. After that, we kind of made it official. Milo had 2 homes. I started bringing Mrs. Patterson groceries once a week, and Milo got to have his second grandma. He still splits his time between us, and honestly, I think he had the right idea. Oh, that is the cutest story ever. Yes. Golden retrievers are just the funniest. Okay, we have time for one more story. Let's see here. Okay, this looks like a really interesting story. This is from a Redditor called These Quantity 3700. Am I the a-hole for hiding a couch from my roommate that's trying to sell it? I live in a house with 4 roommates, and about a year ago, roommate A got a really nice sectional couch for free from her work. It ended up being worth like $7,000. Well, that's an expensive couch. Would they make it with gold? Which was crazy, and we all felt really grateful. We had to rent a U-Haul in order to move it, which roommate N ended up paying for, driving and coordinating. But myself and roommate A helped physically move the couch with N in order to cover the cost of the U-Haul, which was $200. Roommate N sold our old couch. Once we all moved out, we'd sell the nice couch and split the profits. Now, roommate N is moving out before the rest of us and is planning on taking and selling the couch. I only found out because I saw it listed on Facebook for $2,000. And they didn't tell us their plan. Ooh, that's sneaky. Roommate N is claiming that the couch is theirs because they paid for the U-Haul, and apparently the old couch only sold for like $55, and it didn't cover the cost. They didn't ask to be reimbursed a year ago, and is refusing to let us pay them back $150 or even $200 now. They're digging their heels in so hard and hell-bent on taking the couch. Am I the a-hole for planning on moving the couch with roommate A into a storage unit while they're away until they move out and leaving them $200 in cash instead? Update. The plan is in action to move the couch into a storage unit later today. Thanks for all the validation. I'm nervous about N's reaction, but I guess we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Gonna leave $200 on the floor where the couch should be. Ooh, so I don't think you are the a-hole at all. Like, I think that that is absolutely not N's couch. If anyone, it's A's couch, and N offered to buy that U-Haul and didn't seem to have a problem paying for it when they did it. So if N decided to move out early, they have no right to the couch, and I think that it's more than fair that you and A are paying $200 for their U-Haul. But let's see what someone says here. Not the a-hole. A is the one that got it through the work, so possession should be A's, not N's. N shouldn't be the one that decides when to sell the couch, especially if it's communal property. Absolutely. So yeah, that's very true, and I agree with that one. So that is the end of this video. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you feel like it if you like it, don't if you don't, I guess, but why not? Because obviously you should like it. Yeah, so bye!